Well, hey everybody, John Redlone here with the first episode of Ask for Honesty. Yes, it's just questions for me with a different name. I was debating on bringing this back and then thought, okay, you know what? I'll give it a shot. As a fellow wrestling fan, I love talking to, the viewers who are fellow wrestling fans and cool people and everything. And thank you for listening to me be an idiot and talking about wrestling. But then again, wrestling is also stupid and fun and also stupid. But by God, it's so much goddamn fun. So really, the reason I'm doing this, just to test the waters and see what people have to say and people like it. So the title for this actually came up while I was having a conversation with my best friend Chris, aka the Derbinator, and he was like, "Hey, try this." So yes, this is a similar title to a fellow YouTube content creator who's been doing this a lot longer than I have, Wrestle Rant, aka Graham GSM Matthews. He has his own questions, series, weekly series called Ask GSM. And I said, well, hey, do you mind if I do? Do you mind if I do this? Do you mind if I, use this name or whatever? Yeah, absolutely. There's no patent on everything. I always have a great, great conversation with Graham. He's a cool guy, great guy. Can't wait to be on his Wrestle Rant radio series again. But I figured, okay, you know what? He gave his blessing, and I respect his opinion. He respects mine. Loved it, so I was like, hey, why the hell not? So if you guys do want to send in a question, tweet me, use the hashtag #AskForHonesty, DM me if you can, leave a comment on the video, and I will try to answer it as quickly as I can. I don't know if I'm going to be doing these every week, maybe every 2 weeks, possibly one a month. We will see. But anyway, yeah, that's it. Let's just dive right into the questions. Got quite a few questions, a few good ones actually. Easy for me to say. So we go to Kira Johnson 97. What made you like Bret Hart? His character, his look. At 4 or 5 years old, I was just, even though I love Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, a little bit later Randy Savage, because Randy came into WWE about when I was 5 years old. Bret I just gravitated toward Bret because he just seemed real. By not having a gimmick, it was his gimmick. I love the shades. I love the fact that every move he had told, every match he had told a story. Working on the back, hitting the headbutt in the abdomen, even though it looked like he was hitting a low blow. When he was a heel, working with Jim Neidhart, and then when they would switch babyface, just the stuff he did, whether he was selling, whether he was like just being a full-on dick heel, everything seemed real with Bret. I don't know, it's just something about him just latched onto me. And yes, Bret is my favorite wrestler of all time. And I totally get if people don't care for his style, but that's fine. It's okay to be wrong. Kidding. You guys are cool. If you don't like Bret, that's all right. But I do. His characters look I just love how simple it was, yet how flashy it was. And I love his style in the ring. And you did ask, you didn't know if I was asked this question before. I actually wasn't asked that question before. So thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, that's just really what it was. It was just character look, just simple yet flashy, and his style in the ring seemed real, seemed impactful, and I just loved it. And I mean, you could tell he didn't hurt his opponents, even though he made it look like he hurt. Well, I mean, except maybe for the sharpshooter, because he wanted it to be real, because he believed in his character, as he should have. So we get to New Patriot 77. Are you worried about Daniel Bryan's undisclosed injury? I'm only worried if WWE doesn't say anything else about it, because they haven't really said anything about it. Here's the deal. Now, Bryan, I did watch the Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan match back. I did notice he was holding his head a little bit. Now, I'm worried it could be head related. If it's head related, that's unfortunate. Hopefully, he's given plenty of time off as a way to heal and all that. If it's just some other kind of injury, if it's just from going hard for the last year, because he was just cleared in time for Mania 34 last year, he's been doing some of the best work of his career, at least, in WWE. Maybe he's just taking time off. Maybe this is a provision of his contract. I don't know the details of his contract, because he signed a new one in late August, early September of 2018, where he is going to, maybe he's going to be taking some time off. He's not going to work the Saudi Arabia show, so maybe they were like, hey, you've been going hard for a year. Take a couple months off. Because after losing to Kofi, really, what else are you going to do? You're going to have him have a rematch, and then what? Have him in the Money in the Bank match? Maybe they didn't have plans for him, and they were like, hey, you've been dealing with some injuries, take some time off. So as long as we don't hear anything like concussions, stuff like that or whatever, I'm not as worried. But if I don't hear anything at all, I'm going to be very, very, very worried. And I'm getting a little bit scared that we haven't heard anything at all, and it's been approaching 3 weeks since WrestleMania. So hopefully we hear some news and it's good news, or it's like, hey, he's dealing with this injury, he's taking some time off, and he'll be okay. Now we get to Velena WWE. Velena, always enjoy talking to her, even if we don't agree on everything, and even if it seems like spirited debates happen. I always do enjoy talking to her, and I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying you're passionate about wrestling. I'm passionate about wrestling, and sometimes it's like butting heads and everything. But we always come to a common ground on things. So I'm gonna take the second question she asked first, then I'm gonna dive into the other one. If you can't tell by the shirt in the back, you can probably guess what it is. But the second question she sent, why don't you like Bray's gimmick change? The reason I don't like it is because I know they're gonna pull the plug on it, and they had chance after chance after chance after chance after motherfucking chance to not, and this isn't me yelling at you, it's me yelling about WWE, to make his character mean something, and every time they fucking torpedoed it. From the time he lost to John Cena at WrestleMania 30 till he was tag team champions with Bray, or what not with Bray, with Matt Hardy, into like, I think it was like late July, early August of 2018. They had so many chances to make his character mean something, to not have him be a jobber to the stars, to not have him be the spoopy cult leader that always freaking got beat and everything. So a refreshment was needed. The problem is they're trying to do some. I don't mind stupid in wrestling, but I just think this is ridiculous, and I don't think it's going to work. I just ultimately don't. Can I be proven wrong? Yes, I can be proven wrong. There's a question I'm going to answer here later. There have been gimmicks I was wrong about that ended up either maybe not winning me over, but proving me wrong. I thought they would fail, and they didn't end up, failing. I just don't like it. I just don't. It's very, very divisive. I don't find it entertaining. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to prove that, like, oh, he, this is a way for him to expel his demons or whatever. He's not going to go back to that. And he's not going to be evil. And you can see the sinister stuff. My problem is you can see this shit coming a mile away. And I just don't find it interesting. I get why other people find it interesting. I just don't. But now, this is the big one. This is where I'm going to try to be concise with it, but this may take the most time out of any of the questions here. What are your takes on the Rhea Ripley situation? Now, Rhea Ripley, and this is as much detail as I know. There's, I guess, like on Twitch, I guess there are NXT superstars that are having fans pay them 15 something bucks, like, or whatever, to insult them on video. Which I don't fucking get. I guess it's like a roasting type thing or whatever. And it was Rhea and a few others. I want to say it was one of the Saudi Arabia talents that they signed that was with them. But they were playing video games or something, and she insulted the person. And at first, because I heard this while at work, so I had to listen to it a few times because I'm trying to listen to it in a big store. But I heard I'm not going to say the word, but she used the F word, a gay slur. That's what I'm going to say. Now, okay, let's be perfectly honest about something. However the context, whatever it means in Australia, whatever it means in other thing, it wasn't cool that she said it at all. Now, do I think she meant it from a position of hate? I don't believe she meant it as a position of hate, or from a position of hate, but I do, however, think that she didn't understand what she said and the gravity of those words. What she said was pretty damn hurtful. The backlash, there were people defending her. There were people calling for her head. My takes on it are she shouldn't have said it. She should know that she shouldn't have said it. And that it was really fucking bad that she did say it. And she should have been pulled, to WWE offices. Talked to by PR, talked to by Triple H, talked to by various other people, talked to by people from GLAAD and others and everything, and sponsors and that kind of stuff, and talked to like, hey, this isn't really cool. Am I going to sit here in White Knight and say that I never used that word? No, I did a real honest rant about tolerance and understanding, or acceptance, tolerance, understanding, I think is what it was. It was sometime last year, so forgive me, it was a while ago. But there were people that, were like surprised when I said this stuff. I used to be, and I'm going to use my own experiences here and I'll be brief, but I used to be extremely homophobic and extremely racist. So she's 22. Now I had gotten out of being that way by 16, 17 because of basically the idea is like I had somebody that revealed something about themselves that made me realize that being that way, and saying they could trust me even though they were everything that I hated, and was against. And then I realized, wait a second, I can't be like this. And it took time, over time, but I eventually realized I can't use these kind of words. I can't say this kind of stuff. And it's not like, oh, I can't hate somebody because they're gay, lesbian, bi, trans. I can't do that. I hate them because they're bad people, but I can't hate them because of their sexuality. I mean, what the fuck? And by the way, if you put pedophilia in there, you're a fucking monster. Pedophilia is not a sexuality. It's it's somebody being a fucking monster. So don't even come at that. Come at me with that. So back to the Rhea situation. I tried to take more of an approach where if WWE brass and fans enough backlash came down and Rhea did get canned, okay, I would totally understand that. I would, because it would be understandable. They're a publicly traded company, and that's what would need to happen. However, Rhea did issue an apology. Now, there were some words in the apology that maybe she shouldn't have necessarily. She'd. At first, I was thinking that she was trying to make an excuse for why she said it, but she did issue another apology. So it is what it is. It's unfortunate, and it was, whether it was meant as a word of hate or not, is a word she shouldn't have said. It's a word that shouldn't even be in her vocabulary. Again, I'm not white knighting here. I've used that before. I've used words worse than that. Now, granted, 20 plus years ago, but still, not something I'm proud of. It made me angry, but it made me angry because it reminded me of how I was. And I just don't appreciate when people don't learn. Now, if she learned that, I can't say that, I need to talk to, because, yeah, think about it. You got Sonya Deville. There's one other in the NXT UK roster, and I don't actually know if she's a full-time member of the roster, but Charlie Morgan. She's somebody that's been used here and there. I believe she is either bi or gay. I mean, I remember that Nigel said something about her being, part of the LGBTQ community, as of course, you would have AJ Styles say the gay community, because I had to slip that joke in. I just had to. I had a little joke to, take away a little bit of the seriousness here. But with Rhea, she issued her apology. I believe she meant it. It's unfortunate she said that. This is going to be a bit of a rebuilding here. Do I think this should haunt her career? No. If there shows a pattern and she does not learn from this and she keeps doing this stuff, then A, she needs to be let go. And then needs to be, she needs to be, I don't want to say mocked necessarily, but kind of like made to see, this kind of behavior isn't really okay. It isn't okay at all. So that's really my take on it. What Rhea said was not good, and hopefully she has learned from it. That's the thing, just have a tolerance about it. I don't really see why there is such an issue. And coming from somebody, again, that was so goddamn hateful towards gay people and anybody that wasn't white. Like, seriously, that's fucking ridiculous to have that kind of view. It is. There's nothing wrong if you're LGBTQ. Nothing wrong with that. It matters how you are deep inside as a person. No, that's not a euphemism. It matters how you are as a person. Your sexuality does not mean that you're a good or bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person, though. How you are deep inside, how you treat people, all that stuff, that is how you ultimately should be judged. Not based on your sexuality. And of course, then the people will throw out the pedophilia or the bestiality thing. And no, you fucking idiots. That's fucking wrong. So that's my takes on it. I'm sorry if it maybe wasn't a little more detailed. I was going to do a video on it, and I decided to just take a bit, like, of a break, just not post anything, because I have posted quite a few videos, you may have noticed, but a lot of that's pre-recorded. This is actually the first thing I've done since the SmackDown review, because I didn't want to, this is the first thing I've recorded, I've recorded since that, so I just wanted to say that much. But anyway, that's my take on the Rhea Ripley situation. Please leave your thoughts in the comments, but personally, I could understand if they had gotten rid of her if the backlash had been severe. I knew it was going to blow over, though, because she issued her apology. If there are people that don't want to forgive her, okay. That's totally fine. But I do want to say that there are some things that people have been saying to her, and I'm not going to call people out by name, but I've seen some things where I'm like, her using that word is pretty bad, but people saying the things that they're saying to her, not much better. Maybe take the high road on this stuff. And this is coming from me, somebody that gets violently angry about wrestling. But that's my take on the Rhea Ripley situation. I pass it on to you to leave in the comments what you guys think. So, we get questions from Big Bird. By the way, thank you very, very much, Belena, for sending in questions. I look forward to hearing more from you guys in the coming, days, weeks, all that. So, Big Bird 432 with 3 questions. What was your favorite non-Big Four pay-per-view of the 90s? If we're talking WCW, Super Brawl 2, Spring Stampede 94, Spring Stampede 99, Fall Brawl 96, Halloween Havoc 97 to an extent, Halloween Havoc 98, who could forget Hogan versus Warrior, 2, Electric Boogaloo, Bash at the Beach 94, or Bash at the Beach 96. But if we're talking WWE, Canadian Stampede 97, that's pretty much it. I mean, I could include King of the Ring 94, because who didn't love Art Donovan's commentary? Holy Jesus, who thought that was a fucking good idea? Canadian Stampede, though, would probably be the one that I would think of. And the In Your House pay-per-views actually, by and large, had some pretty good shit. Backlash 99 had its moments. St. Valentine's Day Massacre had its moments, even though it was a bit of a mess. Over the Edge 98, I thought I had a really good main event. King of the Ring 2000 had its moments. I thought King of the Ring 2000 was pretty fun. But Canadian Stampede would probably be it. Maybe Mind Games 96. In Your House Mind Games. But Canadian Stampede just for that crowd reaction to when the Hearts, entered. And then when the Hearts won the goddamn thing. Good God, that was so insane. Plus, it was, a shorter show. So that was pretty nice. So that would probably be it if, somebody held me down and said, God damn it, you will answer this question. Then could the WWE Women's Division support its own weekly brand? It could if they got rid of 205 Live. And then what do you do, though? Do you take all the women off Raw, SmackDown, NXT? Do you make it a second hour of NXT just for the women? What do you do? Do you have it just be underutilized women? Mickie James, Alexa, Alicia... Alexa to less of an extent. Mickie James, Alicia Fox, Dana Brooke... Bailey even sort of, even though they sort of seem to be using her pretty well. Amber seems like she'll be getting a decent push, but so many other women, Mandy, Sonya, so many other women could be used well. You could take some women from NXT UK that aren't being used all that well and slot them in. You could tape it in Full Sail. Natty could be used. They need to focus on, I'm not saying spread their focus over all the women. I'm going to be doing a rant at some point about the women's division and how they've got some issues. Well, actually, I did a real honest rant at one point, so I might save that for another time. But I might do one about NXT. Just the bottom line is there's a whole lot to talk about that I can't answer just all in here. I think ultimately it could work, but it depends on what WWE wants to do. They can't choke out the audience and the viewers with all the content. Already not enough people are watching 205 Live. NXT still gains some good views. Raw, SmackDown, ratings are down. And, people say, oh, main event. Your main event's just done for international. I always forget the main event's still a thing. The only reason I remember that, main event's still a thing is because, and this goes back to Wrestle Rant shout, again, Graham, is because he does, reviews of every goddamn thing. Graham, how the hell do you have that much time? I'm kidding. I'm giving you a hard time, man. You do great. You do great stuff. I wonder how I can record all this stuff with a full-time job and all this. And he's so busy. He's going like 18 different directions and still maintain his sanity. No, I'm kidding, Graham. But that's the only way I know the main event's still happening is because Graham and other people write articles about it. But a women's only show could work. But they would need to just use underutilized women and that kind of stuff and just build it from there. But the thing is they're already having difficulty building NXT UK. So right now, I think after Mae Young Classic 3, which they may end up doing, that'll be pretty interesting. And hopefully, they sign enough women to have, an all-women's program. But then they might as well just add like a second hour on NXT, have it like that, have NXT, women or something like that. Or all women's Wednesdays or something like that. AWW. Women's no. Women's wrestling Wednesdays. They said they wouldn't say wrestling, so yeah. I think it could work. I think it just ultimately depends on the person in charge. That's really what it is. If Vince wants to do it, and if the women think it's a good idea, and WWE goes for it, then great. I'd be all for it, but I don't know how much money they put into it, and they'd have to have it in Full Sail. Don't tape it in the full-size arena. Give the Full Sail crowd something, and maybe tour little armories and stuff like that around Florida, and do some tapings. It would be nice, but you can't tape the shit out of sequence, because then it just gets confusing if you see women like Zelina managing Andrade or being in mixed tags, and then suddenly they're fighting, I don't know, Candice LeRae on like a random episode. And not that that match would be bad, but it's just, it would be weird to see it out of sequence. So we'll see. I would be for it, but I don't know how they would do it. And then his third question, will Gargano versus Cole go down as the best 2 out of 3 falls match of all time? No, but it will be up there. And I mean, there's a second part to your question, but I think Steamboat versus Flair, 2 out of 3 falls, Clash of Champions 6 is still the benchmark, in my opinion. And I mean, I'm sure there are others, and forgive me, I've not brushed up on every single thing that happened in Texas and AWA and all that stuff back then. I'm sure other 2 out of 3 falls matches are pretty good in the NWA. I would say it would be top 5 that I can think of right now, especially with the recent 2 out of 3 falls matches that WWE have done. Kairi Sane, Shayna Baszler at TakeOver War Games 2, Electric Boogaloo, anybody? Oh boy. 10 and a half minutes, 2 out of 3 falls, bullshit. Gargano versus Cole, top 5 easily. It was a tremendous match. It really was. Where do you think TakeOver New York ranks among the very best wrestling shows ever in WWE? I think it ranks pretty high as far as modern. As far as takeovers, it could be top 5. Right after TakeOver Brooklyn, I think it was right after TakeOver Brooklyn 4, or maybe right before, I ranked every single TakeOver from worst to best. I would rank TakeOver New York about top 5, but if we're talking all of WWE, what era? It would be so much to. I don't even think it's best TakeOver ever. I think it ranks below TakeOver New Orleans and TakeOver War Games, in my opinion, and maybe even below TakeOver War Games too. The women's match was pretty good and probably the weakest on the card. There was really good stuff to it, but I don't know. I don't like saying, oh, automatically, like right after a show happens, best show ever. You got to go back and you got to look at it, and maybe not overanalyze it, but just look and see, okay, fuck, I have, there was this, and this. Not every show's perfect. TakeOver New York was goddamn good. Do not get me wrong. It's top 5 takeovers ever, but I think New Orleans was better, and I think War Games 1 and or 2 were better, in my personal opinion. That main event was great. War Raiders versus Ricochet, or Ricochet, as the Derb would say, and Aleister Black was really, really good. Walter versus Pete Dunne. But other than that, I don't know. Well, Riddle versus Velveteen. See, that's the thing. Is like really, it's a 3-match show. Now, Riddle versus Velveteen was very good, but I don't think it was great. The women's match, I'm sorry, but I think I'm starting to realize that Bianca may need some more time before she becomes champion. But if I wanted to overanalyze everything, I could pick holes and stuff. TakeOver New York was goddamn good. To me, 3 out of the 5 matches were great. Great to like legendary. And, just below that was Velveteen and Riddle. And then the women's match, sorry, the women's division in NXT has been kind of low. In fact, that may be a rant I do at some point. So, yeah, thank you, Big Bird 432, for saying in the questions. Now we get a few more. And I'll get through these as quick as I can. Jeremy 8911, since WWE won't let Harper out of his contract, do you think they should start using him? For example, Maybe make him a bodyguard for Shane Elias, or send him to NXT or NXT UK. NXT, well, they should start using him, absolutely. Excuse me, NXT UK. I think he'd have some good matches, but I don't think it would necessarily fit. He could work that style, and he would get some pops. But I would prefer him in NXT. Maybe make him a bodyguard for Shane Elias. I would say that. I would say that would probably be the best case scenario. Even though it would be very much like just Rowan being Daniel Bryan's bodyguard, I think Harper could be a very, very good addition there. But it depends how long they want this Elias Shane McMahon thing to go. Reports have it that Elias will lose to Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank, but be slotted into the Money in the Bank ladder match later and win it. Now, if that's the case, then he's going to win the title. AKA Shane's going to screw him over, take the title from Roman, and then Roman's going to beat, Shane for the title. That would happen. They would do that, and I would hate it. I wouldn't hate Elias for it. I would just hate creative. But I would say NXT would be his best bet. He could have some great match. He had a great match with Dominic Dijakovic. God, why do they make names so complicated? Keith Lee. He could have a great match with Keith Lee. He could team up with a couple guys against Forgotten Sons. You could have him and Birch and Lorcan versus Forgotten Sons or something like that. And this is if you send him right down to NXT UK. Have him stare down Shayna Baszler. I mean, that'd be pretty. It wouldn't happen, but that'd be pretty interesting. I think there's a lot they could do with Luke. Apparently, they're adding some months onto his contract after it's going to expire in November because he was injured. So he's going to be doing a whole lot of. They should use him NXT or the bodyguard role. NXT UK. No offense, I wouldn't be for it, but I certainly wouldn't be. I'm certainly not saying your idea is bad. I just wouldn't necessarily be for it. I think NXT UK because you got Cassius Ohno over there, and I don't really care about Cassius Ohno, and I love Luke Harper, and Cassius is a good athlete. I just don't really give a shit about the guy, but. The problem is they have so many talents and they have so much TV, network specials and all that stuff. You almost have to hold on to people just to say, oh, hey, somebody's injured, plug this guy in over here. What? Yeah, okay, I'll go over there for no reason. But NXT or the bodyguard role would be the best bets, in my opinion. WWE NXT guy, do you see AEW drawing better ratings of Raw and SmackDown in or before 2020? Initially, they will do very well. It will be a lot like Nitro. And since we're not going head-to-head with WWE, I believe AEW's program, and it's on TBS or TNT. I think it's on TBS. It should be on TBS. That's a lot of rich history. They're going to go unopposed because they're going to be on Tuesdays while it's the first week of Fox's deal with SmackDown, so they're going to be on Fridays. I think their ratings will do well. Raw and SmackDown ratings are faltering quite a bit. I can see AEW doing well, but I don't think they're going to smash WWE over in the ratings. It's going to depend on how well they keep their audience. Is it an hour-long show? Is it a 2-hour-long show? We don't know a lot of this stuff yet, and we still got about 5.5 months left until this whole thing happens. I think that it can do well. I'm excited, and I will certainly be reviewing it. I don't know if the Derb's going to want to review AEW programming, but if he doesn't, I'll be reviewing it. But I'm certainly excited, but I'm not going to say, okay, they're going to win every single ratings thing, or their ratings each week are going to be better than WWE. It's going to be here and there, here and there. And you got to think about it. Nitro, for a while, yes, it was running head-to-head with WWE. It was neck and neck. There were times that Nitro would be better, Raw would be better in the ratings. It took until June 17, 1996 for Nitro. That was the first week that Nitro ran for like 83 weeks straight. Unopposed. The unopposed king. I mean, yes, Raw ran against them and everything, but they beat Nitro, Nitro beat Nitro. Nitro beat Raw for so many goddamn weeks that's basically what happened. So I will say this: if AEW can hold on to its audience, it's going to do well, and it's going to depend on how it's promoted and how much Turner, Home Entertainment or Turner Sports or whatever invest in it. If they are, game for it and invest and advertise it properly, it's going to do goddamn well. It's a lot of factors. I think they can do some good ratings, but we'll see. AJAT 800. his question or their question. Sorry, I don't actually know if you're a guy or a girl. I apologize. Or whatever gender you are. It's all good. Sorry. But anyway, my optimistic hope is one day WWE programming goes 50-50 with all its shows and pay-per-views. Half men, women's matches promos, half men's or half women's matches promos. Do you feel that will become a reality by the next decade? Depends on what's hot at the time. If the male angles are more hot, those are going to be featured more. If the women's angles are more hot, they're going to be featured more. Some pay-per-views may have a 60-40 split where the women are featured more, and 60-40 or 70-30 split where the men are going to be featured more. It just really depends on the big four. It just depends on storylines. I think it is realistic to expect that from some of the B-level pay-per-views. As far as Royal Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, I have no fucking idea. It's just totally going to depend on what they do for a hot angle. Like, really. Like, I mean, that's just that's just what it all comes down to. And it comes down to the whims of Vince. And yes, Vince won't be running it forever, even though it seems like it. But at this time, I can see it doing well. I can see them doing well as far as like doing good stuff with the women, but I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be 50-50 every single show. I think it's really going to just depend. It's going to depend on Raw, SmackDown. It's going to depend on what the hot angles are and what talents are injured, not injured, and what talents are over, and just overall the whole package of the product. I think it's a great idea, and I hope to see it. I don't know if we're going to. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. And I hope that your hope is, realized. BSG 103079. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a wood could chuck wood? Easy for me to say. Depends on what Xavier's into. I'm not here to kink shame. So, second question. Sorry, I had to say it. Should WWE take Rhea off NXT UK TV as punishment for her actions? Only if she doesn't show contrition and show that she learned from, that her words have weight and that she shouldn't have said that. If she makes that mistake again, she should be canned. Or at the very least suspended. I don't know what NXT UK, I don't know the lineup for NXT UK for the coming, weeks, months, or whatever. I mean, I know they tape in chunks, and I know they tape NXT in chunks, so I don't know what they're doing with Rhea. I know she had a foot injury, if I'm right, or she had like some kind of ankle injury, so she was off TV anyway. As far as I remember, I mean, I think she returned to action recently. I think she beat up Casey Catanzaro and did that, Cloverleaf position that looks like a movie I saw once. Take that for what you will. But no, unless she shows that she hasn't learned anything, don't take her off TV. If they didn't take Leo off TV after he made fun of an autistic fan, and if they didn't take other people off because, of other things they did, if they brought Hogan back, no, I'm not comparing Hogan and Rhea Ripley, but they brought Hogan back after all that bullshit, and they brought other people back, JBL, and various others and everything. If they're going to bring back all these, yes, they're legends and stuff like that, and Rhea's still young. If they're going to do that, handle it depending on how the sponsors and the fans react. So, I think Rhea should only be taken off TV if she shows that she hasn't learned and she keeps using that word, or she just, shows no apologies for her actions, which she has apologized. And let's see. Third question, what is the worst wrestling match you like? And that's a good question. That is a very good question. I will say Doomsday Chamber of Blood. Was it Hard Justice 2007? It was Test's only appearance, the Punisher Andrew Martin. That was pretty bad. That Last Rites was pretty shit. It was Sting and Abyss, the whole Fire Russo thing, because of the whole setup in the coffin and the coffin match where the coffin got raised up. But the one match I thought of, because when you said that, I had like 40 that bounced in my head. One stuck out. Chamber of Horrors 1991. It's a goddamn shit show. It's ridiculous. You have Abdullah the Butcher getting fried in an electric chair. It's goddamn ridiculous. And you have this switch, like this, dead man switch, or, execution switch that keeps falling down, and it's so fucking dumb. So fucking dumb. It's so fucking bad. Chamber of Horrors 91 Chamber of Horrors from Halloween Havoc 91 would be the one that I would think of. Like, honestly, that Actually, in fact, that actually is the one that I would think of. The blindfold match between Jake Roberts and Rick Martel was a really bad match, but I enjoyed it. um, God, I would have to think. Yeah, I really can't think of too many others because there are some that are just honest to God such bullshit. There are people that talk shit about the 96 Rumble, and I like the 96 Rumble. I mean, I know that's not considered like one of the worst matches, but so many people are like, it's terrible, it's terrible. I liked it. I thought it was pretty fucking good. Um, the Chamber of Horrors would probably be the one. And then to finish up at a Freaky Dude, how many wrestling... Wait, let me see. How many wrestling gimmicks did you think would fail but have actually won you over? Okay. I apologize. I tend to write like shit. Well, gimmicks, that kind of stuff, and whatever. So, you know, I thought No Way Jose would fail, and I admit that No Way Jose is nowhere near anything other than a jobber to the stars. But I've seen No Way Jose live in NXT house show. He's entertained. Really tall guy, by the way. Really good athlete. It won me over. It's silly, but it's fun. The one that sticks out in my mind, Velveteen Dream. The first time I saw these vignettes, I'm like, this is stupid. This is stupid. This is not going to work. It's not going to fucking work at all. It took until the Aleister Black feud, the build-up they had with that and everything, and the way he acted, I go, okay, this could work. He won me over from that match at War Games. He won me over there. That would probably be it. I might do a countdown at some point, but I don't know. But Velveteen would be the one that I could think of. So that's where I'm going to end this one. So I apologize if I took longer on some questions than other questions. I will try to figure out a better format. But yes, send questions in the comments with the hashtag AskForHonesty. Find me on Twitter. Use that hashtag. I'll put my Twitter handle in the description. But use the hashtag AskForHonesty or DM me. If I get enough questions, maybe I'll do this weekly. Otherwise, every 2 weeks or every month. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm Jar Mifflin. Thanks for sending in your questions, guys. I'll see you soon.